So in the last video, we talked about CSS, introduction into CSS. We talked about how to use CSS. Now, another name for that style of using CSS is called traditional CSS or custom CSS. That's another name for it, custom CSS. So today's class, he introduced us into another CSS styling, which is what we call media queries. And then he also introduced us into Tailwind CSS. Now, there's already a bunch of projects that we've already gone through and we've already done in the class, and even as assignments that he particularly gave us. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what I've learned. But first, let me go to the VS Code right here. So all this was part of the assignment involving CSS. Yes, involving CSS basically. So this is the CSS file, the 7up.css and the 7up.html. The assignment was to replicate the first page of the 7up website using basically custom CSS. That is creating a separate file for the CSS styling alone. So I was able to perfect it. So let me show you guys exactly how I did. So I'll right click here and open with live server, and already installed extension. Okay, so now this is what I was able to do. I also did something that he didn't technically ask us to do, which is make it responsive. So if you right click here and move down to inspect, then it brings up this code. As you can see, it is on a smaller screen size technically, so it's readjusted and it matches quite well. But let me cancel this and use another extension I installed on my Chrome. So I'm going to move right here to activate mobile view on this tab so I can show you guys. Okay, now see, this is how it looks on mobile right here. Everything is perfect, everything is smooth, everything is aligned. I could not match this first picture with the way the rest of them are for some reason, but it still works even in the laptop mode, desktop mode, and even on mobile mode basically. So yeah, let me show you how the original 7up website is. So 7up, it's hit on enter so that you guys can see exactly. Yes, this is the original 7up website with their official logo and even some social media icons right here. So yeah, I didn't actually include this. He said we didn't have to because he hasn't taught us how to actually implement this yet, but I feel like at this point I should probably know how to do this, but I didn't do it for the purpose of the assignment. So the font I didn't really get. He wasn't really concerned about the font. He just wanted the pictures and just replicate it, even though there are some differences. This is how theirs looks like on desktop mode. This is how let me cancel this, looks like on desktop mode. This is how it looks here, the bottom and here to the bottom. See the differences. Even when I shrink it to mobile view, see it, let it load up. Okay, yes. Okay, so let me just scroll to the bottom. See how theirs look like on mobile view. Mine looks a little bit different, but it's close. It's close. So yeah, that is basically what I styled using custom CSS and created the whole thing. This cool effect of when I come on top of this. I've basically talked about how I did it. So it's just like the hover code that I used to on a button that time. When if you hover it, the button changes the color. So it basically works on anything, on text as well. So instead of enabling it to light up or in a different color, I just enabled underline. So anytime I hover on it, it goes underline. Same thing with the bottom on, just like the original 7up website. So yes, so today we talked about media queries in class. So in the custom CSS. So I'm going to come back here to VS Code, go into the CSS file. So as you guys can see, this is the @media query. This is how it is written. Don't worry much about this, but yeah. So we use this by using @media query, then curved brackets, then curly braces. So inside of the curved brackets, we put max width. So what does this media query help you to do? It helps you to achieve a responsive website. So if you scroll right up here, you would see, yes, responsive design. So at Media Query, I basically use Media Query at separate screen sizes for separate things on the website so that everything can be perfectly aligned. So I apply this to, yes, the tropical header. That is the first picture on the website, like this one. So anyways, I tried to do it, but it didn't really work well, but it still looked great. So at media, this is how it works. So you put this at media space curved brackets. You don't need to apply space. I just like applying space so that the code looks a bit cleaner. So media space curved brackets space curly braces. That is what I basically did, but this curly brace for this media query ends right here, because you can, once you open a media query once you open the media query and you have put the maximum width, meaning maximum width means from 768 pixels and below, it should be whatever is inside this media query. That's maximum width. And then if it's minimum, it means anything from that size and above, it should be this inside of it. So this here, the text banner 1, yeah, I changed some of the text so that the thing can be responsive. The buttons, you know, some other HTML elements that I included in here using this dot. These are all class attributes that were given to different HTML elements basically. So that's what at media queries help you to do. So that is all for the media queries. As you can see the hover. I was talking about text decoration underline for the, let me come back here for this, for all this when you hover on it. So we need to come back here. So yeah, so that's all for media queries. So he talked about Tailwind CSS. So in his description, Tailwind CSS. What is Tailwind CSS? So Tailwind CSS is basically a framework that web developers use whenever they are coding. It gives them pre-custom UI styles, aka user interface. Basically, all that you see when you open like this browser right now, everything you're seeing, this is a UI style. When you go to the website, the way this website looks, all this looking style is called a UI, user interface. Basically, what the users see when they click on a particular website or browser or app, stuff like that. So unlike in the custom CSS, you had to create a separate file and you had to go to that separate file and begin to type some codes straight out, like really break down, write multiple lines of code to make some things work. But with Tailwind CSS, you can design while writing your HTML code, so you can focus more on the actual coding rather than worrying about switching from one file to another. So now this is the Tailwind CSS website, so I'm just going to click on it and open it. So now in the Tailwind CSS, this is what you will see when you open their website for the first time. So it just looks like this, the first page. Now there's somewhere he told us to go to. He said go to this section, docs, which just stands for documentation. Every website, most websites and most frameworks that would be using as I scale more and more into web development has what they call documentation. They help you in understanding how those frameworks or those specific tools work. So we go to the docs section, because the docs section is where we are going to be using most of the time whenever you are working with Tailwind CSS, because the docs is like a personal dictionary for Tailwind CSS. Since some of these particular codes that we'll be using, we are not familiar with them. Most of them are completely different, but not so they're not actually that complicated. It shortens some codes down into abbreviations and stuff like that. So now I'm going to go here and click on this play CDN. Now in the play CDN is going to say, first one, add the play CDN script to your HTML. That is the head of your HTML file, and start using Tailwind's utility classes to style your content. What does it mean by a play CDN? It's basically just this right here, this script element right here. So you will copy this. This is one of the ways to include Tailwind CSS. There are multiple ways. There's another way he talked about how to basically download them, but he didn't tell us how to do it. He just shows that you can actually do it, but he stuck with this method. So that is the method that we are going to be using. So let me just carry this right here, drag it, select it, sorry, make sure it's only that, Ctrl C, and then I'm going to come back into VS Code right now. So inside of VS Code, I am going to come here to File and Open Folder. Now, you don't have to do this method. You can basically still use the files you already have. But since I want to show you how Tailwind CSS works, I'm just going to open a folder that I created specifically for this particular video. There are probably already some files. Yes, there are already some files already created. Yeah, I tried doing JavaScript. It didn't work out. So I'm just going to right click and delete that. Okay, did it work? Yes, it's deleted. So I'm going to come right here, select, then create a new file and call it YouTube Tailwind CSS.html. Now, this is the only file that we're ever going to need. So let's load the HTML boilerplate by pressing Shift exclamation and hitting enter. So now the boilerplate has been opened. So I'm going to come right here, kind of like similar to linking the HTML to your custom CSS. Instead of doing that, I'm just going to hit enter. I've already copied the code from Tailwind CSS website. So I'll now press Ctrl V. Now I've officially linked it. Keep in mind that you actually need to be connected to the internet for this method to particularly work. So I think that is one thing that might be limiting if you want to use Tailwind CSS, this method of linking it. I'm sure when it comes to downloading the Tailwind CSS inside of VS Code, you might really not need internet, but technically you might, especially when it comes to viewing documentations. But yeah, so now internet is already connected, so that is what we need to do for linking. So now I'm just going to come inside this body element and I'm going to create a div. I'm going to hit enter and then I'm going to hit enter again, and then I'm going to come right here, hit on space and create a class. I'm going to create a class attribute. Hit on enter. Now this is very important. Originally with custom CSS, the class attribute is used for us to easily identify which elements we are targeting at without getting confused with the multiple other elements that we have to create when it comes to building a website. So this class attribute here is how we are going to style our website using Tailwind CSS. So first things first, most of what I'm about to type, I've already gone through some of the documentation, so I'm already familiar with it. So first thing, I'm going to type border. I'm going to hit space, and then I'm going to type H, which stands for height, dash, let's say 96. So 96 is like a default maximum value that lets you basically see exactly what, you know, if the Tailwind CSS code is working. So how will I view this? I'm going to right click, open with live server extension. So now see what we have successfully created. This is like the default maximum that you can use. You can go higher than this, but in Tailwind CSS, this is like a default maximum that they gave so that you can actually see the code function. So that is just the first thing he showed us. So now let's say I want to actually give this a value instead of just 96. Maybe I want it to be 20 pixels or rem or, you know, DVH, that is display. I've forgotten what that means, but yeah, basically if I wanted to give it its own prefix rather than giving it a raw number, I just cancel this and then hit square brackets, and inside it I'll now type 20px, that is pixels. And now I'm going to come back into this place and you can see this is what 20 pixels looks like. Now I'm going to come here. Let's say I want it to appear a lot more bigger, so I'll just use 2 rem. Also, it works quite the same, so I'm going to come here. So 2 rem is slightly bigger than 20 pixels, but it's a close particular size to exactly how 20 pixels looks like. So now let's say I want to now the margin, I'm going to press M dash 96 like previously. Let's see what that takes us. Yes, this is the also margin, remember, is the space outside of an element. So let me go inside the div that I created, and then maybe give it tab, give it a name. Let's just say this. Okay, so now that's perfect. So let's come back here so that see if it's set. Okay, now it's perfectly good. So now I'm going to come right here. Now I don't want this name to appear on the side. I want it to be in the center, maybe, or let them be a little bit of space. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the center. So I'm just going to come right here again inside of that same class attribute. I'm going to type P, but I want to affect it on the horizontal level. So in maths, we know x and y axis. Y is horizontal up and down, x is vertical. Y is vertical up and down, x is horizontal left and right. So I'm going to type P, that is padding. Then let's stick with x, px dash square brackets. Let's give it 10 pixels. Now let's come back into here. Yes, it's shifted. This is no longer at the edge. So now let's say I don't want to be typing this constantly to shift it just to center. So I could just hit space. Instead of justify contents like in custom CSS, I will just use justify dash center. Okay, to come here. I wonder if it worked. Let me refresh. Okay, it didn't really do. I think that justify center I added didn't affect the text because it just maybe shifted this whole element to be at the center. So let me try. Instead of using justify center, I want to affect the text. So let's see. Let me go back now. I'm going to go into Tailwind CSS website. This is the part I was talking about, it being being like a dictionary. So I'm going to click right here. Now I'm going to come right here. Right here, this section, the search bar. Then I'll click on it. Okay, so I'm now going to cancel backspace that. So I want to type text. Is it text transform or text align? Yes, text align. It already popped up, so I'll just hit enter. So I want to text align to center, so I'll type text align. This is exactly what I'm going to type in. So this right here, it just tells us exactly this is what we are meant to type in the class attributes, but this style is how it would have naturally been in your custom CSS. So it's basically it's just telling you what it eventually does, what you are typing, what this is in translation to custom CSS. So now I'm just going to type this right here, this text dash center, because that's what I want. So I'm going to come back into right here, VS Code, and then type text dash center. Okay, now let's see if that worked. So now I need to go back to the document right here, and yes, it worked. It worked perfectly. So I want to give it a background. Now there's something I want to show you. For when it comes to color in Tailwind CSS, there's a way it has to be. Naturally, when you are typing color in custom CSS, obviously you either just type the name of the color and it gives you straight direct, but you can't do that in Tailwind CSS except for black and white, because black is black, white is white, and if you try to adjust them, you're no longer getting black or you're no longer getting white. But colors like red, green, yellow, they have different shades, but there's no different shades of black. It's either is gray or ash or black, or if it's white, anything else is no longer white. It no longer feels white. You are either increasing the reducing the opacity of it, or you're increasing it back to solid white. So now I'm going to type color. Let me go right here to this color. This is how it said, okay, it's giving us for controlling the text color of an element right now. So I want to change the color of the text from black to a completely different color. So I'm going to use things like this. So how do you write it for these separate colors that are not black or white? You give them a value, a number after text dash red dash 100 or text dash orange dash 50, something like that, basically. So that is what this code is. I already know this, I just wanted to show you guys. So now I'm going to come back right here and I'm going to space, because I'm already inside the class attribute, and then I'm going to type text dash color, text dash, let me say I want it blue. dash blue dash. Now I want it to be more to appear like blue, so I'm going to type 600. I'm going to show you guys something else, but let's come back to the document so I can show you. Yes, it's technically affected even the border around. Yeah, I really don't know why I did that, but it affected the border around. So I think most of the time you might, yeah, but if I still wanted to affect this border, I could still change it back using Tailwind CSS if I wanted to. But for now, I'll just, you know what, let me just go back to Tailwind CSS and search for border color. If, yeah, border, yes, it has it, border color. So yeah, the same method. This is what to use, the same particular method. Then this one is another one if you want the color to appear more transparent instead of being so opaque, you know. And I don't know what this current is or inherits, but yeah, this is it. So I'm going to come back to VS Code, and then I'm going to use space again because I'm already inside the class attributes, and I'm going to type border dash black. Remember, black and white doesn't need a value at the end. It automatically just comes back to it. So let's see if that worked. I'm going to click here, and yes, it worked perfectly well. Now there was something else I said I wanted to show you guys in particular. I have forgotten what that is. So there's an assignment that he said he was going to give us, but I checked the page, is not yet available. So the previous assignment that gave us about the 7up website, that is duplicating the 7up website, it said we should redo it, but instead of using custom CSS, we should use Tailwind CSS. Now I wish that there were more things that I could show you right now, but right now I actually need to hurry with the assignment because I'm on a deadline. And yes, so far this is all that I have learned at Media Queries and Tailwind CSS. Please, if this video in any way motivates you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, share it, drop a comment, and if you have any tips that you could give me as someone who is also beginning in this journey of being a full stack developer, please drop it in the comments. I'll look forward to seeing your comments. This is Silent Developer Progress without the noise.